Hi, welcome. Today we will be talking with Emma Spittles, who is the Senior International Officer at University of Kent, and we hope to discuss academics at University of Kent and career options in UK. Welcome, Emma.
Hi.
Thank you for visiting Denning Consultants. We are happy to have you here today. So I'll like to start with talking a little bit about the academics in the UK in general in today's time. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think in terms of the UK, it continues to be one of the leading education sort of top destinations for many students. It offers a lot in terms of both undergraduate and postgraduate courses. And it has a lot of prestige associated with it. A number of kind of the top universities in the world are all in the UK. So in terms of its kind of excellence and standing and reputation, it's very, very strong. But the great thing about the UK, I think it's the uniqueness of the different universities. You know, no university is exactly the same in the UK. So whether you'll be based in London or Edinburgh or even in Kent, it is very different. So it offers a lot to students.
That's good to know. So seems to be a growing interest now in studying internationally, but as we've spoken, the focus seems to have now shifted from academics towards future career opportunities. So, how has University of Kent adapted to that shift and to that requirement, and how are the courses now being designed at University of Kent to sort of welcome this change?
I think that's a really good point. I mean, I think over the last few years there have been a lot more kind of internationalizations of courses, and students are looking for more than just an academic experience. They're looking for a life experience of getting different perspectives from different walks of life. And I think at Kent we do try and embrace and be up to date and be current to what students are looking for. And for many of the students who study at Kent, it isn't just about that academic background. It's about actual transferable skills that they can use in their careers. And so for all of the degree programs we offer, whether it be at UG or PG, these transferable skills are fundamental. So whatever degree you do, you get these kind of life skills that you can apply afterwards. And it's core life skills that everybody has and everybody can use. So things like communication, leadership, team working, all of these areas you need in whatever walk of life that you do. And it's about enhancing what people have and bringing it up to a level that will make them successful in their careers. And I suppose the other element that we really kind of embrace at Kent is that international perspective. And so for us, when we're delivering our courses, it's never just a UK focus or it's never just a European focus. It is very much an international focus. So if you're doing either an LLM program or if you're going to do the architecture and visualization, those kind of sort of very specialized degrees, it comes with that international perspective. And so for us, we want to be able to give students the tools that they can succeed in their degree, but then they can take it home and do whatever, in terms of their career and utilize it in the best way. So it's about giving the students the academic and the practical skills that they can use in their careers.
So I'd like to talk a little bit more on that. But before we get into that, I was hoping that perhaps we start with the popular courses that are on offer at Kent and how these courses are helping students, especially international students, to find their long-term objectives in the UK and elsewhere around the world.
So, I mean, I would say at Kent, we offer a lot of courses, a variety of different subject areas, from business all the way through to actuarial science to kind of engineering programs. But I think for Pakistan students, the top kind of 3 or 4 tend to be in core areas such as business, computing, law, and there are other programs like architecture, psychology, international relations and politics are also seeing a lot of uptake as well. And I think the great thing about these courses, as I said, it gives students not only kind of academic exposure, but that internationalization. They are recognized degrees, so if you do decide to do a business program, you can bring it back here to Pakistan and it is recognized by industries. So it won't be just a sort of a couple of letters after your name. It's actually something you can utilize in your career. And I think the other benefits about Kent is that we offer a lot of different specializations. So at undergrad, we have quite a broad offering of subjects. So in business, for example, you can do international business and management, or you can do marketing. But then at postgrad, it tends to be more specific. So you can do things like business analytics or digital marketing and analytics. So for a lot of master's students, having that kind of real niche specialization is a massive advantage, and it really helps in terms of their career development. So if they are looking to go into, say, areas where business analytics, it's one of those leading areas across many countries that's very much in demand. Having a dedicated degree into that definitely gives you that competitive edge when it comes to the career prospects after.
So you make an interesting point regarding internationalization. So that is specifically to academics. How do you feel Kent is responding in terms of the extracurricular activities that are also available in the form of clubs and societies at Kent? And how does that add to a wholesome student experience for an international student?
I mean, in the 4 years that I've been at Kent, I've seen kind of the sort of extracurricular and social sides really expand and diversify. And I think that is 100% down to the students that we have. The students that we get each year are becoming more diverse, not just in terms of backgrounds, but also interest levels as well. And I think as a university really embrace that kind of diversity and encourage students to really kind of pursue their interests. We don't dictate to them and say, right, you've only got 5 course subjects that you can do in terms of kind of the clubs and societies. That's it. We say to them, if you want to do a club and society, and if it's not there, then establish it and sort of go with where your passion is. And I think that's one of the real reasons why students enjoy both the academic side but the social side as well at Kent. We are very kind of enriching environment where we like to have students thrive both on the kind of academic but also on the personal side as well. And I think having that kind of freedom for students to choose and whatever activities they want to do, and if it's not available, go through that experience of starting something, really helps in terms of like their time at Kent. And there's so many different choices. I mean, I think the last count, we've probably got close to sort of 200 different societies, and from the traditional ones around kind of sport, music, drama, theatre, all the way through to kind of more kind of modern kind of, arts and creative side. There are things like Harry Potter Club, there's a baking club. There's also a rabbit society, which I'm very excited about because I'm a rabbit person. So there's lots of different options for students to get involved with. And the international students do play a part in that as well. There's a lot of kind of international celebrations that go on campus. So for example, around Chinese New Year, there's lots of kind of celebrations around that, about Diwali celebrations. So it's not just for students of that nationality. Everybody can kind of get involved, and it's a way of embracing and learning about different cultures and heritages from all across the world.
So in terms of the campus and its location and its infrastructure, you mentioned that there are over 200 societies. How does the campus support such a vibrant student community? How is it structured? How is it laid out? And how supportive is it in that regard?
So the great thing about Kent is that we have 2 campuses in the UK. So we've got quite a large footprint around sort of the county of Kent. So Canterbury is our largest campus, and our second campus is Medway, which is about 40, maybe 50-minute bus ride from Canterbury, so it's not too far away. And both of the campuses are very large in area. So in terms of like space, students have ample room to get around, spread and sort of, enjoy that kind of outdoor experience. But I think in terms of kind of facilities that are existing, there is lots of avenues that students can get involved with. We have a fantastic Kent Union on both Canterbury and Medway, and they organise a lot of events during the year. We have a really fully equipped sports centre, there's a theatre, there's a cinema, so students can use that existing infrastructure. But also like the county of Kent has lots of fantastic spaces that students can get involved with as well. So if it's not available on campus, then looking just on the surrounding area in the local community. Because Canterbury itself is a city, but it's a university city, so everything around is supporting the students who are studying at Kent. So it's a really good location to so obviously study, but also to kind of enjoy those life experiences that you get from when you're studying, whether it be at undergrad or postgrad. You need to make the most of the opportunities that come both academically, but also on the social side as well.
So one of the reasons why I'm trying to talk more about the student experience and the campus life is that students typically that work with us are hoping for a campus experience, because that is something that is not necessarily available in universities in Pakistan. So I think in terms of the footprint that you mentioned, I'm sure Kent has a much larger footprint than almost any university in Pakistan. And that is something that students are very keen to have. And which brings me to the point where students who hear about the UK generally associate London being the city where everything is happening. But if you were to visit London, you realize that it's quite packed and it's not as friendly in terms of the campus experience. So if you can perhaps talk a little bit about that in terms of what Kent has to offer in relation to London, and the fact that it's also close to London, so it can sort of provide that sweet compromise between the two aspects.
It's interesting that. So I'm originally from London, and I studied all the way up to through my college life in London, but I chose to do my university degree outside of London for exactly that reason, is because city-based universities, so whether it's London, Birmingham, Edinburgh, wherever you study in the UK, space is a premium, and they can't have big campuses. There's just not the sort of the space in the city itself. So a lot of those universities tend to be quite spread geographically around sort of a large area. And so for students studying there, they have fantastic university kind of facilities to enjoy, but it's all across London. And you don't get that kind of student life that you would get from studying and living all in one space with all of your other fellow students. And I think that's one of the massive advantages about Kent, is that both of our campuses are completely kind of self-contained in terms of students have their academic facilities, they have things like the library and the other kind of resources available. They have accommodation on campus, both Canterbury and Medway, so they can stay there for undergrads for the first year, but for postgraduates for the full year of their duration of their course. And having those kind of social aspects as well. So on Canterbury, for example, there's a supermarket, there's like loads of cafes and eateries, and you're only kind of a 15-minute bus ride from Canterbury city centre, where a lot of the kind of city offerings is available. So it has the best of both in terms of we are in a quite a kind of a semi-rural setting in terms of the countryside and sort of the environment, but you're on the doorstep of a big city in Canterbury that has all of that offerings. And as you said, London is only an hour away on the train, and so it's very accessible, and direct train into St Pancras, you're right in the heart of London. And so actually being able to kind of go to London to day trips, if there are family members close by, it's very connected to the rest of the UK. And so actually staying at Canterbury gives you a really good balance of an area where you can focus on your studies, but also thrive in terms of kind of that enriching experience, but then being able to kind of travel to other parts of the UK very easily is the perfect world.
Another reason I think that students prefer London is because they believe that because it is the hub of UK in many ways. If they're looking for part-time opportunities while they study, that would be possible in London and not necessarily at the other universities. So what is your opinion on that? How would you look at that particular aspect?
I mean, they are true that London is a hub for a lot of industries, and a lot of big businesses are based in London. And I think particularly for the degrees that we offer that have options like a year in industry and those placement years, a lot of students do work those placement years in London, because that obviously is a hub for a lot of different sectors. But for sort of smaller part-time roles, people, whether it is either at the Canterbury or Medway, they tend to work in the local sort of area as well. So in Canterbury itself, it is a city, but it's a very small city, particularly in comparison to London, and especially in comparison to cities here in Pakistan. So a lot of the jobs tend to be kind of small part-time jobs that a lot of the students at Canterbury will do. So that's a good way to kind of get that extra income, but also that work experience whilst you're studying. But having London on your doorstep is a really good option in terms of if you want to maybe do some internships over the summer months, or if you want to do the placement year as part of your degree, London tends to be a good focus, because that's where the big industries are often established.
I'd like to sort of switch gears a little bit and perhaps pose a question that I get posed a lot. And when I particularly talk about a specific universities. For example, if I tell a student you should go study at University of Kent, they will likely tell me, why Kent? Why not any other university? Because there's so many options out there now. And if you try to compare this based on ranking, based on academics, you do tend to realize that there are similarities. So it has now become a difficult choice for students. So, in your mind, what are the particular advantages that a student might have in studying at Kent? Because the way I like to address this is that every student has a unique requirement in terms of their student experience. So some are looking for a quiet experience, some are looking for a bustling city. So from that perspective, what key advantages would a prospective student have if they want to come and study at University of Kent?
I think I would say our top three kind of reasons for coming Kent, and this is in no particular order. I would say location is our biggest selling point. We've already spoken about the campus sort of life, that not every university has that offering. I think our location in terms of Kent is fantastic for students, particularly international students who maybe have grown up in big bustling cities, to go somewhere that's a slightly kind of, more, I don't want to say sort of slower pace of life, but it's not as frantic as what you would find in a big city. Definitely is an advantage for students, because the distractions of kind of having to commute long distances, having kind of like busy traffic, and it's not an issue at Kent. And so you can focus your attention on the studies, which is the reason why you're there. I think the second reason for Kent is that we are very international, and I know this is something we've spoken about sort of in earlier. I think the fact that nearly 40% of our academic staff are from outside of the UK. We have around 150 different nationalities in our student body, and they bring so much to the study environment, not just in terms of their personal experiences, but their opinions of different areas of whatever they're studying at Kent has different contexts depending on what country you're from. And we have that environment where students can come along, and it's very free and easy to share ideas and opinions. And the third reason why Kent is good is that you have that environment where students are encouraged to engage not only with fellow students, but also the academic staff as well. We encourage debates. We want people to come to talk about why this doesn't work in their country or why it does work, and have those kind of discussions, sharing ideas and collaborating and things like that. And I think having that approach to education where it's not just being spoon-fed to you, you're actually encouraged to come along with your opinion, with your thoughts, fully researched, and become prepared to debate them and argue them. And that's something that students really enjoy and really kind of embrace, because that's how you learn. It's not just from reading a book. It's about hearing different opinions and seeing how it maybe differs to yours, or how it's the same as yours, but you're from different backgrounds, and having that kind of shared experience from people that you may not meet in your everyday normal life back home. And I think that's why Kent is good, because it does encourage everybody to participate and everybody to give their view. And there's no wrong answer. That's the other thing as well. It's about kind of like going there with your kind of arguments and be prepared to share them with the world, really.
I think I like to add to that is, I think the key is to make an informed decision. That is, I think, and talking to someone like you really helps, I think, in terms of learning what it is to study at Kent. And if it's for you, it's for you, right? One of the, I think, key mistakes, if you will, the students are making is borrowing opinion in terms of choosing their universities. And it's important to make your own decision, because you cannot arrive at a university and be disappointed. And that's happening to a lot of students. I would not obviously want to say it out loud in terms of the university names or the city names, but it does happen, and I think that's unfortunate. And I've said this to a lot of students as well, that University of Kent, I think, provides, to your point, a very good prospect in terms of being close to London, but then not be close to London. And that's, I think, really the key, because you get best of both worlds. And that's, I think, very useful.
And just to
Yeah.
kind of add to what you were saying, I think that's a really valid point. I mean, the amount of students I've met, not just here in Pakistan, but from other parts of South Asia, the biggest advice I always give to them is exactly that: make your own mind up. Obviously, you can consult with others, listen to views and things like that, but you have to be passionate about your choice, because inevitably you're the one that's going to be doing the work, whether it's a 3-year or a 1-year master's. You know, the emphasis on you to do the work, and so you have to be committed and you have to be confident with the choice that you made. And I always say, obviously, look at the university, look at the setup. If you want a campus-based life, then you have to go to a campus university. If you want the city, then you know where you need to search in terms of universities. Look at the courses, see what it offers, both in terms of sort of the different modules and the specializations. And don't be afraid to kind of push yourself as well, because sometimes people kind of get stuck in a sort of a channel and say, right, I'm doing technology and computing my whole life. Does that mean I've got to do computing masters? Actually, it doesn't. You can diversify. You can go from computing to a business degree or vice versa. There's lots of choice and flexibility. So do what you're most passionate about. I think that's my biggest advice to everybody who's looking to study, is make sure you choose something and somewhere that you're really invested in. Because if you're not happy, it's not going to be a fun time studying, and it's a lot of money to spend out on something that you're not 100% committed to.
Agreed. And I think my sort of agreement also comes from the idea that you stop looking at the university being a beacon of opportunity if you're not convinced. So that's one of the frustrations I think a lot of international students face, is that if they do not make the choice themselves, they will continue to feel that any challenge that comes to them is someone else's fault.
Yeah.
And if you are committed to a university through your own choice, then you'll continue to look at opportunities. Like you mentioned, the Kent Law Clinic, which is something that continues to fascinate me, because it's something that is very meaningful, because you don't have to make efforts yourself. It's something that the university is providing. It's work experience, it's good opportunity, and only if you believe in it will you actually avail it. Otherwise, you're just going to go to class and maybe come back and lose out on that opportunities. It's very, very important that way.
And I think that's a really key trait for whatever subject or whatever study level that you want to study at. It's about having kind of putting yourself out there, going out of your comfort zone as well. I mean, I remember even in this job, I go out my comfort zone nearly every time I go do these events or speak to people. You're always pushing yourself to do things that you wouldn't normally do in sort of your normal sort of day-to-day life. And it's exactly the same for your courses as well. A lot of these experiences and opportunities do rely on students putting themselves out there, being proactive. So, for example, the Kent Law Clinic, it's a fantastic initiative, particularly for the law students to actually get real life involvement in real legal cases. So someone from the local area would come with a particular case in mind, and they would just want students to help with researching or putting papers together, and it gives students that kind of exposure of what it means to practice law. But it's not something that's given to you. You actually have to be proactive. You have to volunteer for it, put yourself down on the list and commit to it as well. Because if you don't commit to it, as exactly said, you're literally just kind of like, going through the motion, not really getting the most out of it, and you're wasting that opportunity. And so my kind of thing I always say to people is go out your comfort zone. It's scary. Trust me, no one likes to do things that's new. No one likes to kind of put themselves out there. But once you do, and if you embrace it, you'll learn from it, and you'll look back at that experience thinking, yes, I achieved that. I've got that, and I've learned that as a life skill that you can take forward in whatever you decide to do after.
Certainly so. And just to extend on this, what kind of support is available to international students who are keen, who realize the opportunity, but would require some level of support in terms of career services, in terms of understanding what to do next? So what does Kent have to offer in that regard to students?
So there's lots of support that's available throughout the studies. So on the academic side, every student will be allocated an academic supervisor, and particularly during big projects like dissertations, so at the end of your undergrad or your postgrad thesis, where you have to do your own kind of research project, every student will have their own individual academic supervisor who will be with them throughout and can guide them on different kind of academic approach. And I think that's key for international students, because one of the things that a lot of students not so much struggle, but they kind of find it challenging to adapt to, is a different education system. Yes. Not just from Pakistan, but from anywhere in the world. There's no two university systems that are the same. And so adapting to that can take a little while, and some students get it quicker than others. And there's no like hard and fast rule that you have to pick it up straight away. But having some support mechanism there. So when you first start, you can meet your academic supervisor to talk about, how do I do a written assignment? Something is easy and straightforward, but having that guidance and advice on hand will definitely be kind of helpful. And similarly, sort of during the study years as well, there's lots of kind of independent support outside of your academic sort of system that you can call upon. There's lots of sort of peer-to-peer support mechanisms as well. So things like the Kent Union, for example, which is run by students for students. And so the staff don't get involved with that, but they have a lot of kind of mentoring programs, buddying schemes, where students can go along and meet fellow students and learn from their experiences. So I'm a big firm believer in peer-to-peer support, because there's no better way of learning than from people that have been through that experience that you're going through. In terms of the career options, I think, as I said, this is something we do focus a lot on at Kent, and we have a dedicated careers advisory service, and they provide a lot of support both during your studies but also after your studies as well. So sort of during the studies, you can go along to maybe the job shops or the career fairs that they organise for all students. You can participate in their kind of training programmes that look at things like how to improve your interview skills or how to write an effective cover letter. All of these kind of little things, which sometimes as people we forget the fundamentals of looking for a job. But these kind of helpful tips and advice are a really good kind of starting point for when you do start to look for jobs after. And as a graduate of Kent, the good thing is that you can go back to the Careers Advisory Service once you've left Kent. So it doesn't stop automatically. So once you've graduated, that's it. You know, the Kent door closes. It's not like that at all. You can go back to the Careers Advisory Service. And many students do use that, particularly international students who are staying on in the UK for the graduate route. They do utilise the Careers Advisory Service to help looking for full-time positions within Kent or the London area that sort of suits their skills and their interest level. So it is something that's very kind of key in terms of kind of the career progression for our Kent students.
So Emma, you've you've sort of helped us understand Kent. You've helped us understand careers in the UK. You've helped us understand the student experience, and I'd like you to sort of towards the end bring it all together by perhaps talking to a prospective student as to how they should plan their entire journey. So one of the aspects that I find with students that I speak to who have gone to the UK or other parts of the world, they tend to feel that the study experience is just about going to class. And that's unfortunate because it's so much more. And so in order to sort of summarize what we discussed so far, perhaps you can walk an international student through the entire journey of how they should approach this, how they should come to Kent and sort of utilize the entire experience of being at Kent.
Yeah, I mean, I think the place to start is definitely kind of doing your research. I think having a clear idea of exactly what you want to do and also kind of where you want to get to as well. I think whatever university you apply for, one of the key things that we look for when we're assessing applications is why are they doing that course and what they hope to achieve in terms of where do they want to be in their careers. And so we want people to actually have a full kind of idea about, I want to do artificial intelligence because of I want to be here in 10 years' time. So they have it kind of mapped out and they have a clear idea of why they want to do the degree. Definitely preparation is key. Applying to any university does take a while. There's lots of documents you need to do, there's processes, there's online application forms you have to complete, and there are deadlines you need to meet. And so that's for that reason we always recommend utilising Denning consultants as kind of getting that kind of independent counsellor experience that will help and guide you through the process, because applying to a UK university, it can be quite complicated at times in terms of knowing what documents to get, how to apply for your visa, all of those kind of mechanics. You know, it does take a while and it can be quite complicated. And so having an expert, independent person to help you with that is definitely an advantage. I think in terms of kind of selecting courses and things like that, I think coming prepared to get stuck in, work hard. You know, if even a 1 year master's at Kent, it's only 1 year, but it's a very intensive 1 year. So you need to come fully prepared to work hard. There's a lot of work that you need to do, not just in terms of attending lectures and being present, but also the stuff that happens outside of the classroom. So for assignments, for example, within the first couple of weeks of you starting your degree, you would be given deadlines of assignments to meet. And often they'll be like within a week. So you've got to turn these things around quite quickly. And so going there with a full kind of readiness to kind of get stuck in, to be prepared and to put the work in, and also kind of give it your attention, your 100% kind of full attention, which I know sounds silly, but some people just think, oh, I just need to turn up to lectures and that's it. Actually, it doesn't work like that. And particularly in the UK system, it does rely on the students doing work prior to the lectures and doing work after the lectures. So you're not kind of just told, right, go and read this book and be done with it. You actually have to go away and you will be asked your opinion, and you have to be prepared to show that you've demonstrated your understanding about a certain subject as well. And so coming kind of with that full preparedness to kind of get stuck in and really kind of immerse yourself in the education experience. Because it is a once in a lifetime experience. You know, unfortunately, we can't spend our entire lives in education. I mean, I'd love to go back to university, I have to say, but it's something, you know, it only happens in a very short window, and so you need to make the most of the opportunities and don't finish your degree with any kind of regrets, thinking, oh, I wish I did that. I wish I went on that field trip. I wish I'd joined that club. I wish I went to that event, or, you know, those kind of things. You really need to embrace all of the opportunities they have there. And the thing to remember is the university is there to support students. We are there for students. It's not, you know, the other way around. And so we are there to create an immersive, kind of engaging and kind of free environment where students can think and feel and act in whatever, to have that kind of freedom where they can kind of air their opinions and stuff like that in that kind of mature environment is always a massive kind of plus. And it's a big reason to study abroad is to get that experience and meet people from different cultures and sort of share ideas and make the most of it. And my biggest kind of, I always say this to people, is that if you're going to invest in anything in life, invest in education, because you can go out and I can buy a new car for £20,000, for example, and that car will probably last, I don't know, 10 years if you're lucky, in terms of like before it depreciates significantly in value. Your education will never depreciate in value. You will always use it. So whether it's just your undergraduate degree, whether it's a master's, whether it's a PhD, yes, it's a lot of financial input at the beginning. It's a lot of hard work for the student, but actually you'll reap the benefits for the rest of your life in terms of not just career, but also learning from life experiences, meeting people, making friends. I mean, I'm friends with people that I met at university many years ago. And so those are the other aspects and the benefits of doing an education. Is not just the degree, it's the other bits that come with it.
I must say, Emma, you've sort of almost convinced me to start.
Let's all sign up to Ken.
Yes. So thank you so much for a very extensive look at Kent and education, careers, everything. So you've sort of given our audience a very good look at how to go about making the decision. So truly appreciate you spending time with us. So thank you so much.